and welcome to Women's World. I'm Deborah Prentice. In this episode, we give you an insight to the lives of women in the line of duty. We talk to women in the Defense Force. Our first story is about a 22-year-old woman from East New Britain province who is currently serving in the Navy. Here's more.
My name's Bethlyn Akronero. I'm a midshipman and I am a junior officer on board HMPNGS Lakekamu. I am 22 and I'm from a small village in Pomio on the south coast of East New Britain province.
Bethlyn, can you please give us an insight to your role as a midshipman?
On board this vessel, this is actually a training vessel, so I am still undergoing trainings to be commissioned as an officer and as well to be certified as a officer of the watch whilst out at sea. A midshipman on board any vessel is a junior officer who is still an under trainee, so most of the time we do trainings to qualify ourselves as an officer of the watch. That is while we're out at sea, and also officer of the day, and to be qualified to be commissioned as an officer in the Defense Force.
How long ago did you start in the Navy, and tell us a little bit about your training?
So I started in the Defense Force in 2016 and I went to the Royal Australian Naval College to complete my training there for 6 months, and then after that I came back and I was posted on board this ship in April 2017 last year, and I'm still on board.
Bethlyn, why did you choose a career in Navy?
Wanted to try something different, something new, something out of the ordinary, and apart from that, I always hear my mom talking about the sea life and her life because she's from Manus and all that, but I grew up in the highlands, so I wanted to experience that, and I thought, why not travel the seas and see the world and all that, so yeah.
You have a job that requires you to be out at sea most of the time. What is the best thing about your job?
The best thing about being in the Navy would be traveling the high seas, being out there, not being bothered by anything. It's just you, yourself, the ship, and the sea.
Working in a male-dominated field, could you give us an insight to how it feels working with your counterparts?
When we came on board, it was a challenging moment and an ice-breaking moment for the crew, the male crew, as well as us, the female on board. We had to try to fit into the environment and learn how things work around the place. But apart from that, it was all fun, enjoyable. We really enjoyed it. On top of that, I'd just like to make a mention of the first male crew that accepted and respected and were willing to work with us, the female crew on board, especially Her Majesty's PNG ship Lakekamu, the L33 crew.
Bethlyn, you often spend days out at sea. What's one of the things that you miss when you're out there?
The first thing I missed when I went out at sea would be, it won't be a thing, it would be a person, that would be my mom. So yeah.
Bethlyn, what is the future like for you? Do you have other dreams that you'd like to pursue?
In the Navy, after some years, I see myself as a navigator on board one of the ships, or better still, climb up the ladder to be a CO. That would be my dream in the Navy.
Bethlyn, you're one of the first 3 women to serve on the PNGDF vessel. What is your message to other women and girls?
My message to them would be, in today's society, there is no such thing as a male's job and a female's job. Anyone can do anything, so be you who you want to be, do what you want to be, and do it the best way you can.
Bethlyn, growing up, did you ever think that you'd find yourself in the Navy?
Oh yes, I did. That was, it started sometime when I was in primary school, and that was because of the influence of the Sea Patrol series, TV series. Yeah, I love that movie. Anyways, yep, so because of that, I kind of thought, why not join the Navy and do what they do and all that stuff. So
Bethlehem is now going to show us around the vessel. Bethlehem, what do we have here in these red cases?
So in these red cases, we have what we call the Okaba bottles. These are for emergencies on board, like fire in the engine room or anywhere on the ship, as well as toxic acid and all that. So we have personnel who are qualified to go in to these masks and use them, and they come up, get inside within 4 minutes, and go back down to assist with whatever the incident is.
So we're here now in the bridge. Bethlehem, can you tell us what happens here in the bridge?
So while we're out at sea, well, alongside nothing much goes on up here, but while we're out at sea, we have the navigator or the officer of the watch who's in charge of the ship's route, the course and everything. And we also have the captain who overlooks everything that goes on up here. We usually have the chief engineer also up here whilst we're in a confined space, so just to work on the main engines from up here. So now we're going down to the tank deck to see what's happening down there. So this is the 01 deck, and right up here we have the senior sailor's cabin, the female cabin. We also have the officer's mess or the wardroom, and then we have the captain's cabin on this side. And
So it's quite small in here.
yep, it's small.
Welcome back to the show as we look at PNG women in the line of duty. We feature women in the Defense Force. Our next story is about Second Lieutenant Imelda Divina, who graduated in 2016 from the Officer Cadet School in New Zealand. Second Lieutenant Imelda Divina, who joined the force in 2015. In 2016, she was the first female officer to graduate overseas at the Officer Cadet School in New Zealand.
Ma'am, good day.
Good day. How are you?
Good.
Okay, I'm just checking if there's any signal for today.
Yes?
Okay, later on give me that copy.
Thank you so much, Second Lieutenant Divina, for your time. Can you please tell us a little bit more about yourself?
I'm 29 years old and I'm from Medang province. I'm working with the Signal Squadron in the PNGDF here in Mari Barracks.
You are attached to the Signal Squadron. Can you tell us a little bit about the Signal Squadron? What is it all about?
Signal Squadron is a communications unit which we are specialized operators, radio operators, and we send operators out to other operations throughout the country to man radios and operate radios when during operations.
Can you please give us an insight to the sort of training one has to go through to make it into the force?
The training that we go through is both physical and mental training. 1 year, 6 months, a total of 18 months, and sometimes 2 years, depending on which institution, army establishment you went through to undergo your training. So mine is, I went through like 2 years training as an officer, but the physical side of it is very, demanding, and it's very tough. So you have to be physically fit to, meet the standards, have the right mindset, and how to lead your soldiers and your troops and make the right decision.
Second Lieutenant Imelda, I do understand that there's a lot of mental and physical training involved to be part of the Defense Force. Could you kindly give us an insight to some of the physical training involved?
One of the main aspects of a soldier is, you have to be physically fit to fight your enemy. So in that context, every physical exercise that you can name of, when you join army, you have to go through it.
With all those intense pressure in training, were there ever a time that you felt like giving up?
My God, it's just most of the time, training gets tougher and tougher each time. It will reach a point that you will feel that you will definitely wouldn't make it, and you'll just give up, and you just think of going home and just live a normal life. But then, by looking at how far you've come and have the mental the power to drive you, that's something that you will push you. You have to have that mind power in you. Your body will be weak, and it will tell you to stop, but you have to control that little mind, that little thoughts in you that makes you want to stop, and just tell him to I'm controlling you, I'm controlling your body, I'm controlling everything here. So just I won't listen to what you are giving me, but I have to strive for it, and then you just give everything you have.
Being in the force, you are exposed to different type of weapons, and it is part of your job that you have to use weapons. But you've come from a civilian background, and as a woman, the first time you held on to a weapon, how did that feel?
From a civilian point of view, like coming from a civilian side straight to military and all these things is just a nightmare to us. The first time when I saw those weapons lying in front of me and they said, you guys gonna use and how to operate this thing, I was like literally shaking. Am I serious about going through this? Or I told myself, but then I said, well, I signed up for it, so I don't have any choice. I have to get used to it. This will become my partner or the best friend in this new career which I've chose. So I decided to have some courage and tell myself to you can do it. It's just a object lying there in front of you.
What motivated you to join the Defense Force?
I don't want to being looked down. I want to challenge. I have this thing in me which I want to be challenged. So despite the tough training and stuff, I usually tell myself that if others can do it, and if other women in the other countries can do it, there's nothing can stop us from achieving what they are. Women same as us, and if they can make it, then why not us? I choose this path because of my qualification. I was a teacher prior to joining the Defense Force. Since I heard that they're looking for teachers, they want teachers, that's where I think that my qualification would be an asset in the PNGDF. So I decided to come in, join using my qualification as a teacher. and also, you know, to become a role model to the other females out there. You know, even though we think that, you know, army is a male-dominated job and it only revolves around men's world, but that's not what we think. That's why I came in and joined the other female in the force, you know, to put a picture out there so that other females can see that, you know, there's opportunity out there in the other fields, such as the Defense Force itself.
Welcome back to Women's World as we look at women in the line of duty. Our next story is about the first female aircraft engineer in the PNG Defense Force Air Transport Wing. After finishing grade 12, she did not receive a place in college, but this did not stop her. Here is her story.
My name is Catherine Boa. I come from Goroka and Manus, and I am 31 years old. I work with ATW, Air Transport Wing. That's the air element of Papua New Guinea Defense Force, and I work as an aircraft engineer. This would be my 9th year. I joined the force in 2009. So this is 2018, so that would be my 9th year. Yeah, 9 years in the force.
Why did you choose a career in engineering? What inspired you to choose this path?
I always wanted to work with taking engineering courses, but it wasn't, first of all, it wasn't with aircraft. I just wanted to work in an engineering field. But when I was in grade 12, I didn't make it through to college, so I had a friend who was studying at RAA. There's a school in Mosby, Regional Aviation Academy, and he came with an application form, and I filled it out, and I passed it, so I went to that school.
How did you feel when you realized that you did not get an offer in college?
In grade 12, I didn't make it to college, and that was the lowest point in my life, and I thought that was it. But my parents were Christian. I come from a Christian family, and they encouraged me. They said, maybe God has another plan for you. So one of our friends, he attended Regional Aviation Academy at that time, and he came to me with an application form from the school, and I filled it out, and I went to do the entry test, and I passed it.
Catherine, how did you feel like when you passed the entry test in aviation?
I was confused, maybe I didn't know, like, is that that's it, that's my new career? Like, I was, what could I say? I was happy and confused at the same time. Yeah.
Why were you confused?
Because I didn't think I was going to work with aircraft. Yeah. And then I thought it was, so hard, like aircraft engineering. Yeah. Lowest point of my life when I was, the lowest point of my life was when I was not accepted to college, when I didn't get an offer in grade 12. I thought that was the end, and I thought that's it, I'm done. But then I have other people who are supportive, especially my parents. And being in a Christian family, I get support from them, telling me it's gonna be okay, everything's gonna be okay, just put your trust in God.
Lance Corporal Boa, can you give us an insight to your role as an aircraft engineer?
Day starts off by reporting to the supervisors in the morning, and then we get a debrief from our supervisor. If we have a task, we carry out the task. And just like a car, there are people who are specialized in different areas of the car, like the frame of the car, and then there are the people who are specialized in engine, and then there are the people who are specialized in the instrument in the car. So my job, I work as a instrument. I work with the instrument. So when I report to my supervisor, if you have any task for me to do, and that's concerning the instrument, I work with the instruments. Instruments are like computers in the aircraft. And we have engine instruments. They are like computers for the aircraft. They give the readings for how your engine is working. And then we have for the propellers, we have computers for the propellers. They tell you what the propeller reading is, how hot it is, and stuff like this. Yeah.
Lance Corporal Boa, can you tell us what sort of aircraft this is?
This aircraft is a CASA CN235 100 series.
Is it okay if you take us in and show us where you work in the plane?
Sure, yeah. Okay, so this is where I will be working. That's the co-pilot seat, and we have the pilot seat on the left-hand side. And that's all the instrument there. Those gauges there, we have the instrument gauges there. That's for the middle ones are for the engines and the propeller. And then you have, they're duplicated. You have for the pilot on that side and the co-pilot on that side. So I just showed you the instrument. The instruments are connected with all the engines and all the outer parts of the plane. So whatever happens to the outer parts of the plane, it shows in the cockpit, on the instruments in the cockpit.
So if something goes wrong on the outer part of the plane, that issue is being indicated on the instrument and then the pilot knows. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
And that's all we have time for on Women's World. Don't forget, you can visit our Facebook page, that's Women's World, and send us a message if you have an interesting story to share. Until next week, I'm Deborah Prentice.